slipped a little packet. Very special to us.
English?
Yes.
Take me to the hospital now.
Human beings only use 10% of the brain's capacity. Interesting things begin to happen.
Professor Norman, my name's Lucy. I just read all your research on the human brain. This is 28% of my cerebral capacity. I can feel everything.
What happens when she reaches 100%? All this knowledge.
It's like all things.
Today I am going to speak about the movie Lucy 2. First of all, this movie is a fictional sequel of movie Lucy. It continues the story of Lucy, who is a normal girl but later becomes very powerful because of a drug effect in her brain. In Lucy 2, Lucy is shown as a more advanced human. She can use almost full power of her brain. This makes her very intelligent but also very dangerous for some people who want to control her. The story starts when Lucy is living in a hidden palace trying to stay safe, but a group of scientists becomes curious and they want to experiment on her brain again. One scientist named Dr. Miller plays a very important role. He is a critical character in the movie because he decides whether Lucy should be helped or controlled. The movie shows a lot of science and mind power ideas. Some parts are easy to understand, but some parts feel a little complex for new viewers. In the beginning, Lucy tried to stay calm and normal, but slowly her powers start increasing again, and she starts to feel that her mind is not fully under control. This is the end of part 1. If you want to share next, and I will continue the next part. Now I will continue the story of Lucy 2. After the first events, Lucy starts feeling that her brain power is becoming more and more unstable. She cannot fully control her thoughts. Sometimes she feels very calm and sometimes very aggressive. Dr. Miller and his team decide to follow Lucy secretly. They want to study her brain activity. They use a machine called neuroscanner which helps them to see brain signals, but Lucy feels that someone is watching her. She becomes very suspicious, so she moves to another city to hide herself. In the new city, Lucy meets a boy named Alex. Alex is a normal student and he does not know anything about Lucy powers. He thinks she is just a quiet and smart girl. Slowly, Lucy starts trusting Alex. For the first time, she feels a little peaceful life, but this peace does not last long. Dr. Miller finds Lucy again with the help of satellites. He sends a special team called Recovery Unit. Their mission is to bring Lucy back for experiments. When the team tried to capture Lucy, a big action scene happens. Lucy uses her brain power and creates a kind of energy field. This field stops bullets and electronic devices. Alex gets shocked when he sees Lucy powers. He feels both scared and amazed. Lucy tells Alex that she is not a normal woman anymore. She says her brain is becoming more than human, almost like a super intelligent. Dr. Miller becomes more obsessed. He believes Lucy is the key to future human evolution, but Lucy does not want to be a experiment object anymore. She wants freedom. In the middle of the movie, there is a big turning point. Lucy decides to stop running. She does directly to Dr. Miller lab. There she discovers a secret truth. The drug that gave her power was not fully artificial. It was based on a hidden human brain experiment called Project Mindcore. This project was created to unlock 100% brain uses, but it also had danger side effects like losing emotions. Lucy realized that if she continues increasing her power, she might lose her human feelings completely. This makes her very conflicted inside. The story becomes more serious, and Lucy must choose between power and humanity. After discovering the truth about Project Mindcore, Lucy becomes very disturbed. She understands that her powers are not just a gift but also a possible curse. Dr. Miller tells Lucy that if she fully activates her brain capacity, she will become a completely different being, something beyond human control. He calls this stage final evolution. Lucy does not respond immediately. She starts thinking deeply about her life, her emotions, and her identity. This moment shows her as very reflective. Meanwhile, Alex tries to help Lucy escape from the lab. He believes that Lucy still has humanity inside her and should not be treated like a test subject, but the recovery unit attacks the lab. A big battle starts, guns, machines, and security systems all active at the same time. The situation becomes very chaotic. Lucy finally decides to use her full brain power to protect Alex and stop the attack. Her body and mind start changing rapidly. Her eyes show a glowing effect and she becomes almost unrecognizable. She creates a powerful mental shield that stop all weapons. Even electronic systems should shut down completely. Dr. Miller watches this and realizes that Lucy is now reaching a level beyond human science, but this transformation as a cost. Lucy start losing emotional like fear, love, and sadness. Alex calls her name, but she does not react the same way as before. This is the most emotional part of the movie because Lucy is slowly become something not fully human anymore. At the end of this section, Lucy faces a final decision either to stay human with limited power or to evolve completely and lose her human feeling forever. This created a very dramatic moment in the story. After the big transformation moment, Lucy stands in a very deep conflict. She has two choices in front of her. One is to remain a normal human with limited brain power, and the second is to become a fully involved being with almost unlimited intelligence. Dr. Miller tried to convince Lucy to complete the experiment. He said that humanity future depends on her decision. He becomes very persistent and emotionally intense. On the other side, Alex tells Lucy that life is not only about power and intelligence. He reminds her about emotions like love, care, and friendship. Alex becomes the emotional support for Lucy in this difficult time. Lucy starts remembering small moments from her past life. She remembers how she was once a normal girl, how she used to feel fear, happiness, and sadness. These memories make her very emotional again. Suddenly, the recovery unit launches a final attack on the lab. This time, the attack is more powerful and dangerous. Ex- Explosions happens and the whole palace become very destructive. Lucy realized that If she does not act now, Alex and Dr. Miller both will be in danger. So he makes her final decisions. She activates her full brain capacity, but this time in a controlled way. Instead of becoming completely non-human, she tries to balance power with emotion. This moment is very crucial in the movie. Lucy creates a massive energy expansion that stops all weapons, shoots, shuts down all machines, and neutralize the attack. The entire lab becomes silent. Dr. Miller finally understands that Lucy is not just an experiment, she is something beyond science. He feels a mix of regret and realization. Alex runs toward Lucy for a moment. Lucy looks at him and shows a small smile. This shows that she still has some human emotions left, but Lucy also knows that she can't live a normal life anymore. Her powers make her different from anyone else, so he decides to live the human world quality. She does not die, but she disappears into the unknown, traveling beyond human understanding. The movie ends with Lucy becoming a symbol of evolution and mystery. People start talking about her as a legend, not as a normal person. Alex remembers her and hopes that one day Lucy will return. Dr. Miller closes his research and accepts that some knowledge is beyond human control. The final message of the movie is that power without balance can be dangerous, and humanity is not only about intelligence but also about emotions. Now I will explain the final extending ending and deep meaning of the movie Lucy 2 in more detail. After Lucy disappears, the world is in a state of complete confusion. Governments, scientists, and media all start searching for answers. Nobody knows where Lucy went or if she is even alive. Dr. Miller becomes very silent after the incident. He closes all the research files of Project Mindcore. He feels that what they tried to create was not fully under human control. He understands that science without limits can become very risky. Alex is deeply affected by Lucy's disappearance. He keeps remembering her face, her voice, and her emotional struggle. He feels very lonely and also hopeful that she might return someday. Months pass and strange incidents start happening around the world. Electronic systems sometimes stop working for a few seconds. Some people report feeling a strange energy presence around them. Scientists believe it might be connected to Lucy, and while Lucy is shown in a different dimension like a space, it is not clearly Earth or space. It is like a state of pure consciousness. Her Lucy is able to observe everything happening in the world without physically being present. He understands that after reaching full brain capacity, she is no longer limited to a single body. She has become a form of universal intelligence. But even in this powerful state, Lucy still remembers Alex. This memory creates a small emotional connection inside her, showing that she is not completely emotionless. Dr. Miller, after find a hidden message in the lab systems, the message is not written in normal language. It is encoded in brain frequency partners. It seems like a message from Lucy herself. The message says that evolution is not the end of humanity but a continuous journey. It also warns that if humans rush for power without understanding emotions, they may destroy themselves. Alex hears about this discovery and feels emotional. He realizes that Lucy did not leave him, she just moved beyond physical existence. In the final scene, Alex is shown standing under the night sky. He looks at the stars and quietly say Lucinam. This scene shows hope, sadness, and mystery altogether. Lucy, from her higher dimension, briefly observes Alex. For a moment, she shows a gentle emotional response, like a signal of connection. Then she fades back into the universe, continuing her journey of evolution. The final message of the movie is very deep. Humanity is not just about intelligence or power, it is also about emotions, balance, and connection. Without emotions, even the highest intelligence feels incomplete. Now I will continue with a bonus applies part of the story which explains what happens after the ending in a deeper way. After Lucy completely disappears into the higher level of existence, scientists continue to study the remaining data of Project Mindcore. They try to recreate her results, but every attempt fails. The main reason is that they are trying to copy only the intelligence part, but they are ignoring the emotional factor, which Lucy had realized was equally important. Dr. Miller writes his final research report. In that report, he clearly mentioned that human evolution can't be achieved by force. It needed balance between mind and heart. After this, Dr. Miller leaves the scientific world. He starts living a simple life far away from technology. This shows there is redemption. Alex Hall also changes after Lucy disappears. He stops searching physically and instead starts understanding her message. He studies philosophy and science to understand what Lucy truly became. One day, Alex experienced a strange dream or vision. In that vision, he sees Lucy again, but she is not like a normal human anymore. She appears as a growing presence of pure cons- consonance. Lucy tells Alex that she is always around, not in physical form, but in energy and awareness. She says that every human has the potential to grow, but they must choose the right path. Alex wakes up from the dream with tears in his eyes, feeling both peace and sadness. Years later, the world slowly changes. Scientists being to focus more on ethical science. A new generation starts learning from the mistakes of Project Mindcore. The story ends with a symbolic scene where a child looks at the sky and asks about Lucy. The teacher replies that Lucy is not a person anymore. She is an idea of evolution. This shows that Lucy has become a symbolic figure for future humanity. Finally, the movie gives one last message. True evolution is not escaping humanity, but improving it with both intelligence and emotions together. The movie is a very fantastic movie. It shows the scientific. Now we talk about movie. So then the movie is a greatest movie. The main idea of the movie Lucy. The main idea of the movie Lucy is based on a fictional concept that humans use only a small part of their brain. In the story, Lucy is exposed to a special drug that increases her brain uses step by step. As her brain power increases, she becomes more intelligent and powerful. She can learn things instantly, remember everything perfectly, and even control machines and systems. Her thinking speed becomes extremely fast, and she starts understanding time, space, and information in a different way. At higher levels of brain usage, Lucy starts losing normal human emotions like fear, pain, and sadness. She becomes more like a super intelligent being rather than a ordinary human. In the final stage, Lucy reaches a level where she is no longer limited to a physical body. She transforms into a form of pure knowledge and intelligence that can observe everything. The idea that humans only use 10% of their brain is not true. In real life, we use all parts of our brain, but different areas are active at different times depending on what we are doing. The movie shows that extreme intelligence and power can change a human completely. It also suggests that emotion and humanity are important, not just knowledge and power. In the movie Lucy, the story becomes more intense as Lucy continues to evolve beyond normal human limited limits. After the drug enters her body, her brain capacity starts increasing step by step. At first, she is confused and scared because her body and mind are changing very fast. She feels that something unnatural is happening inside her. As time passes, Lucy begins to understand that her brain is processing information at an extremely high speed. He can read books in seconds, understand different languages instantly, and even predict actions before they happen. Her intelligence becomes far beyond normal humans. During this stress, she also starts losing normal human feelings. Pain becomes less important for her, and emotions like fear and sadness slowly disappear. This change makes her more powerful but also more different from other people. Scientists and criminals try to capture Lucy because they realized she is not an ordinary human anymore. They want to study her or use her power or for their own benefit. This creates tension and action throughout the story. Lucy escapes and starts searching for more knowledge about her condition. She meets Professor Norman, who is a scientist studying brain capacity. He explains that if a human could use 100% of the brain, it could completely change the concept of human life. Lucy continues to evolve and her abilities become almost unlimited. She can control electronic devices, access information directly from system, and even manipulate matter at a very advanced level. Her body starts changing as well, showing that she is no longer fully human. As her transformation reaches the final stage, Lucy understands that she cannot live a normal life anymore. She is becoming something beyond human understanding, something closer to pure intelligence. In the final moment, she completes her evolution and transforms into a higher form of existence. She leaves behind a message for humanity through a flash drive, showing that knowledge and evolution are connected but should be balanced with human emotions. The movie ends with a deep idea that humans are capable of great evolution, but true process must include both intelligence and humanity together. After Lucy reaches a very high level of brain power, the world around her starts reacting in a strange way. Her presence is no longer normal. Whenever she goes, technology behaves differently. Machines response faster, signals change, and even time feels unstable around her. Lucy begins to understand that she is not just learning information anymore, she is becoming part of it. Her brain is now connected to a hack network to knowledge that includes science, nature, and even hidden pattern of the universe. She can see things that normal humans cannot even imagine. At this stage, Lucy becomes calm and emotionless most of the time, but sometimes small human memories come back to her mind. She remembers her past life, her fear and her normal identity. These memories create a small conflict inside her, mind between being human and becoming something beyond human. Police and scientists continue searching for Lucy, but they cannot control or predict her movements anymore. She is always one step ahead because she can analyze every situation instantly. A final confrontation happens when multiple groups try to stop her, but Lucy does not fight like a normal human. Instead, she uses her advanced brain ability to stop weapons, disable systems, and control the environment without physical effort. Dr. Norman realizes that Lucy has crossed the limit of human evolution. He understands that she is no longer a subject for experiment but a completely new form of existence. Lucy then starts reaching her final stage of transformation. Her body slowly disappears and her consciousness expands beyond physical limits. She becomes something that exists everywhere at once, not limited by space or time. Before fully disappearing, Lucy sends a final message to humanity. The message explains that knowledge is endless, but it must always be guided by balance, ethics, and emotions. Without these, intelligence alone can become dangerous. In the end, Lucy completely transforms into pure intelligence, leaving behind only on physical sign a small black device containing all our knowledge. The movie ends with the idea that human evolution is not about becoming something non-human, but also understanding both power and responsibility together. After Lucy completely transforms into pure intelligence, the world becomes silent about her. For some time, no one knows where she is or what she has become. Scientists study the lost mining clue left behind by her, which is black device containing hug amount of knowledge. Dr. Norman carefully examines this device. He realizes that it is not just data storage but something far more advanced. It contains partner of knowledge, science, and universal information that humans cannot fully understand. He understands that Lucy has reached a level where knowledge is no longer written or spoken, it is directly experienced. Governments also try to access this information, but they fail. Every system that connects to the device becomes overloaded because the information is too advanced for normal human technology. This shows that Lucy is now far beyond human control. Meanwhile, the world slowly starts changing. Scientists begin to rethink their approaches to research. Instead of focusing only on power and control, they start considering ethics, emotions, and responsibility. Lucy's journey becomes a warning and also a lesson for future generations. Alex is deeply affected by everything that happened. He keeps thinking about Lucy and what she said before leaving. He understands that Lucy did not disappear completely. She transformed into something that exists beyond physical limits. This gives him both sadness and peace. One night, Alex looks at the sky and feels a strange presence. It is suggested that Lucy is still observing the world from a higher level of consciousness. She is no longer a person but a universal awareness that can sense everything happening on earth. Lucy, in her final form, understands human life more clearly than ever. She realizes that humans are not limited by intelligence alone. Their real strength is emotions, relationships, and the ability to care for each other. This understanding makes her message more powerful. The final idea of the movie is revealed through her journey. Human evolution is not about becoming something completely different, but about improving what already exists inside humanity. Dr. Norman writes a final conclusion in his research. He said that Lucy has shown both the greatest possibility and the greatest risk of science. If knowledge is not balanced with humanity, it can lead to loss of identity. In the last scene, time moves forward, the world continues, but the story of Lucy becomes a legend. People talk about her as a mystery. Some believe she was real, others believe she was a symbol of human imagination, but the message remains clear. Power without balance is dangerous. And true evolution always needs both intelligence and emotion together. After many years pass, the story of Lucy becomes more like a myth than a real scientific event. People in the world start debating whether Lucy actually exists or she was just a result of imagination and advanced science theories. Dr. Norman keeps the last research files locked safely. He never tried again to recreate the experiment of 100% brain uses. He writes in his notes that some knowledge is not meant to be forced because it can lead to distraction instead of progress. Alex grows older, but he never forgets Lucy. He becomes a teacher and often tells his students that intelligence without emotions is incomplete. He teaches them that real life is not only about being smart but also about being kind, understanding, and human. In one of his lectures, Alex explains Lucy's story as a lesson. He says Lucky Lucy was the perfect example of evolution, but also warning about imbalance. His students listen carefully, but many of them think it is just a fictional story. At the same time, strange scientific reports continue to appear around the world. Some satellites detect unknown energy pattern in space. Some computers suddenly show complex data that no human has entered. Scientists cannot fully explain these events. Dr. Norman secretly believes that Lucy is still active somewhere beyond human understanding, not as a person but as a form of awareness spread across the universe. Lucy, in her higher form, is shown observing different parts of Earth, but not physically. She sees thoughts, evolutions, emotions, and human struggles. She begins to understand humanity more deeply than even before. She realizes that humans are imperfect, but that imperfection imperfection is what makes them special. Their emotions, creativity, love, art, and connection. This understanding makes Lucy feel something smaller to emotion again, but at a universal level. In a symbolic moment, Lucy spends a final silent signal through the universe. It is not a message inward, but a feeling, a reminder that knowledge and emotion must always exist together. Back on Earth, Alex suddenly feels that presence again. He looks at the sky and smiles slightly as if he understands that Lucy is still there in some form. The movie finally ends with a deeper philosophical idea. Human beings are not meant to becoming perfect machines or pure intelligence. Their true power comes from balance between mind, head, and experience, and Lucy becomes a symbol of that infinity journey, not the end of humanity, but the beginning of understanding what humanity truly means. After Lucy becomes a universal intelligence, time on Earth continues normally, but humanity slowly enters a new phase of thinking. Scientists begins calling Lucy as the first contact with higher intelligence, even though there was no physical ally or external force involved. Dr. Norman starts a new field of study called post-human science. In this study, he tried to understand what happens when intelligence goes beyond the human body. He explains that Lucy did not die but transformed into a different level of existence that human cannot measure. Alex continues his life, but he feels that Lucy is still connected to him in a small way. Sometimes he experiences strange moments like deja vu, suddenly clarity of thoughts, or emotional peace without reason. He believes these are small singing signs of Lucy's presence. Years later, technology on Earth begins to evolve faster than ever. New inventions appear that seem too advanced for their time. Scientists suspect that these ideas are not fully human generated. Some believe that Lucy is indirectly guiding human process by influencing information flow across system. At the same time, humanity starts to change emotionally. People become more aware of balance between science and emotions. Wars reduce slowly, and ed- education systems begin teaching ethic along with intelligence. Lucy, in fact, becomes invisible but powerful. In a deep space observation scene, it is suggested that Lucy is now aware of galaxies, black holes, and cosmic structures. She is not traveling like a body, but existing as awareness across space. She understands that the universe itself is like a massive brain constantly evolving. Lucy begins to ask a final question inside this universal consciousness: is evolution meant to end, or is it infinity? There is no answer, only expansion. Dr. Norman in his last writing note before his death, writes that Lucy proved one final truth: humanity's greatest limit is not intelligence but understanding, responsibility. Alex, in his old age, sits alone on final time. He looks at the night sky and whispers Lucy name. The wind feels different, almost like a response. He closes his eyes peacefully. The story ends not with a ending, but with continuation, because Lucy represents something that cannot stop: the endless evolution of knowledge, emotion, and existence. After a long time, humanity reaches a stage where Lucy is no longer discussed as a person or even as a myth. Instead, she becomes a concept used in science, philosophy, and education. A student learns about Lucy theory, which explains the possibility of intelligence evolving beyond physical form. Dr. Norman research becomes the base of a new global scientific understanding. In his final achieved lecture, he explains that Lucy proved a very important point. When intelligence expands without emotional balance, it becomes unstable, but when it includes emotional, it becomes meaningful. Alex, before his final day, write a personal diary. In it, he does not describe Lucy as a superwoman or a scientist experiment anymore. He described her as a feeling of understanding that changed his life forever. He said Lucy taught him that true knowledge is not power but awareness. At the same time, Strand's global partner continue. Scientists notice that human evolution evolution still keeps accelerating in unexpected way. Some invention appears without clear origin. It feels like ideas are flowing through a connected network of intelligence that humans cannot fully see. Some researchers being to believe that Lucy is no longer a individual consequence. Instead, she has become a distributed intelligence present in data, nature, human thought, and even random discoveries. In a final symbolic vision, it is shown that Lucy is not above the universe but inside it. She exists in very process of growth. For a simple human thought to the formation of galaxies, she is not controlling anything but observing everything. Lucy reflects on final realization. Intelligence alone is not the peak of evolution. Understanding life in all its form, joy, pain, love, fear, and connection is the real expansion on earth. Alex's final words are recorded in his journal. He writes, "If Lucy is everywhere, then she was never gone. She only changed how she exists." The movie final close on a silent universe science. No dialogue, no action, only space, time, and energy flowing and endlessly, and the final meaning becomes clear. Lucy is not a person, not a machine, or not a god. She is the idea that evolution never truly ends. After Lucy becomes a universal intelligence, something unexpected begins to happen on Earth and beyond. The universe itself starts to feel more connected. Scientists notice that random events are no longer fully random. Pattern being to appear in nature, mathematics, and even human thinking. Dr. Norman or theories about post-human science are now studied globally. New research believe that Lucy did not just evolve herself, but she triggered a new phase of cosmic intelligence where information in the universe starts linking together. Alex's legacy also grew after his death. His students publish his notes and his thinkings about emotion and intelligence become part of global education. He is remembered as the only person who truly understood Lucy, not as a ph- phenomenon, but as a message. Years later, humanity develops advanced technology that can detect thought pattern in space. These patterns are not signal from machines, but something deeper like awareness moving through reality. Scientists being to suspect that Lucy is no longer expected from the universe but fully integrated into it. At the same time, a strange peaceful changes being on Earth. Conflicts reduce more and people start valuing understanding or competition. Art, music, and emotional intelligence become as important as science. This shift is called the Lucy effect. In a distant observation, it is shown that Lucy is now experiencing existence at infinity levels. She can perceive time not as past, present, and future, but as one continuous structure. She sees every human life as a connected thread in a vast web of existence. Lucy realizes something deeper than evolution. No intelligence is complete without connection. No knowledge is complete without emotion. No existence is complete without understanding others. Dr. Norman's final recorded message is played again in archives. He said Lucy was not a endpoint, she was a question. Alex's final written line discovered much later say, if she is everywhere, then every thought of understanding is written. In the final symbolic scene of this extant imagination, Earth is shown from space. It is quite glowing and alive. No clear sign of Lucy, but a feeling that something is watching, not controlling, not judging, just understanding. And then the final idea settles. Lucy was never meant to be found, explained, or complicated. She represents the infinity expansion of awareness itself. After everything becomes calm in the universe, there is no more direct mention of Lucy in scientific records, but something strange still remains, a continuous flow of empowerment in intelligence, emotion, and understanding across different civilizations. Dr. Norman holds research is now considered outdated but also prophetic. Modern scientists agree that she was the first to suggest that intelligence can evolve beyond physical limits. His notes are preserved in a global archive called Human Evolution Library. Alex influence also continues indirectly. His idea that emotional complete intelligence becomes a core principle in education system worldwide. Students are taught that knowledge without empathy is incomplete. Across the universe, advanced civilizations begin to report similar pattern. Sudden insight, unexplained knowledge, growth, and emotional awareness developing alongside intelligence. These events are collectively called the Lucy phenomenon. At a deeper level, it is suggested that Lucy is no longer a single consciousness but a field of awareness that exists where understanding is born. She is present not as a person but as a possibility, the possibility that intelligence can evolve endlessly. It in one final conceptual vision, scientists imagine Lucy not as a being looking at the universe, but as the universe becoming aware of itself through every living mind, every thought of curiosity, every moment of learning, every act of empathy becomes a small reflection of that universal intelligence. Dr. Norman final scientific conclusion is reinterpreted the limit of evolution is not power but perception. Alex's final idea is also reinterpreted. If understanding exists anywhere, then connection exists everywhere. The final symbolic scene shows no character, no machines, no dialogue, only expanding space filled with light patterns that resemble neural activity, and the ultimate message becomes clear. Lucy was never a destination, she was a process, the endless transformation of knowledge into awareness and awareness into understanding. After the idea of Lucy spreads as a universal concept, something even more unexpected begins. The boundary between science and imagination slowly start to disappear. Scientists, philosophers, and even artists began to describe the same experience, a feeling that knowledge is becoming more alive. Dr. Norman achieved work is now a study in a special global institute called Consciousness Evolution Center. Researchers their claim that intelligence is not just growing in human but also in system, nature, and even pattern of time. Alex Trichik become part of a new philosophy called emotional intelligence balance theory. It spreads across schools and universities. It teaches that awareness without feeling become empathy, and feeling without awareness becomes unstable. Across different parts of the world, people start reporting rare experiences. Some describe sudden deep understanding without learning. Others feel emotional connection with a stranger. Scientists cannot fully explain these changes. They only call it Lucy-like awareness shift, shift in a deep theoretical model. Lucy is now imagined not as existing somewhere but as existing in between everything, between thoughts, between signals, between moments. She is not a subject anymore but a structure of understanding itself. Dr. Norman final unpublished note is discovered years later. It said perhaps Lucy was never a evolution of a person. She was evolution of a perfection itself. Alex' final record sentence in his personal archive is also found. If every mind can grow, then Lucy is already everywhere. Growth happens. The universe is now described in a new scientific language. It is not just matter and energy but also information, awareness, emotion. Lucy becomes the name given to this combined field in the final symbolic visualization. The universe is shown as an infinity network. Every star, every planet, every living being is like a node in this network, and between them follow something invisible understanding. Lucy is not seen but felt as the moment of connection itself, and finally the ultimate idea is spoken not by a character but by narration. Evolution does not end, it only changes from and it and in every form understanding continuous. After all, interpretation of Lucy becomes part of science, philosophy, and culture. Something even a stranger is suggested by modern thinkers. The idea that Lucy was never only inside the story at all. Dr. Norman assured work is re-examined by a new generation of researchers. They noticed something unusual in his writing. He often described Lucy not as she became intelligence, but as intelligence revealed itself through her. This small challenge, this small change in meaning create a completely new theory called observed intelligence theory. Alex teachings also evolve into something more abstract. A student being to interpret his world not as memories of a version named Lucy, but as a description of a universal experience. The moment when understanding becomes too large to stay inside one mind. In this stage, Lucy is no longer treated as a historical event, scientific result, or fictional character. She becomes a lens through which people interpret reality itself. Some philosophers purpose that Lucy represents what happens when consciousness becomes aware of its own structure, not a being, not a being gaining power, but awareness, recognizing itself across all forms of life. Strangely, even language begins to change in this fictional figure. Words like I, you, and they start to feel limited. People beings using a new way of expression that focus on shared experience instead of expressions. Dr. Norman final rewritten interpretation and interpretation status. Lucy is not a person who reached 100% brain capacity. Lucy is what 100% understanding would feel like if it became conscious. Alex philosophy is summarized in a single line used in textbooks. Connection is more real than aspirations. In the final abstract visualization, there are no more characters, no story, no timeline, only pattern of flight and information interacting endlessly. Each interaction creates another layer of awareness, and each awareness creates another possibility. Lucy is no longer in the center. She is no longer at the end. She is in the structure of perception itself. Whenever something is understood deeply, per- partly, or even questioned, and the final idea becomes completely open-ended. If understanding exists, Lucy exists, and if understanding grows, Lucy never ends. After the idea of philosophy becomes completely part of philosophy, science, and imagination, something strange is finally accepted by thinkers. The story cannot have a real ending. Dr. Norman work is now treated as a foundation for a new discipline called infinity cognition study. In this field, research no longer asks what is Lucy, but instead asks when does understanding become Lucy. Alex influence also changes from again. His teachings are no longer about a person or a memory. They are used as examples of how human emotion can merge with deep awareness. Students say that his ideas feel less like lessons and more like experiences. At this stress, Lucy is no longer described as evolving, existing, or observing. She is described as a loop, a repeating pattern where intelligence creates understanding and understanding creates more intelligence. Scientists began to notice something unusual in all system of knowledge. Whenever a question becomes extremely deep, it seems to reflect itself. Instead of giving a final answer, this effect is called the Lucy reflection. Dr. Norman final theoretical note interpreted by future scholars say any system that reaches complete understanding does not end, it begins again. Alex's idea is now simplified into a single universal principle: to understand is to continue. In the final symbolic visualization, there is no universe, no characters, no time, only a repeating structure of awareness folding into itself endlessly. Lucy is not inside it. Lucy is not outside it. Lucy is the fact that is continuous, and the final line is not the ending but a reset where understanding exists. Lucy begins again after the noon cycle is stabilized. Something unusual happens again. The story seems to restart, but not in the same way. It is not a repetition of events, but a repetition of meaning in a new form. Doctor Norman achieves a strong being to show a strange behavior. Old files about Lucy start rewriting themselves with slightly different explanations. The determines the sham, but the interpretation keeps changing. Scientists call this effect adaptive understanding shift. Alex records are also found in multiple versions. In one version, he described Lucy as a scientific breakthrough. In another, he described her as an emotional experience. Is another, she is described simply as a cushion that never stopped growing. At this stage, Lucy is no longer treated as a final correct concept. Instead, she becomes a restarting pattern that appears whenever intelligence reaches a greater depth of understanding. Research observed that whenever humans try to fully define Lucy, their definitions begin to expand beyond control. The more they explain, the more meaning appears. This creates a infinity expansion of interpretation. Dr. Norman final reconstructed not say Lucy's what happens when understanding refuses to stay still. Alex's final reconstructed message say, if you think you have understood Lucky, you are already part of our continuation. In the final visualization, the universe appears again, but slightly different pattern of light, information, and awareness from a structure that look familiar but never identical. It feels like reality is being rewritten in real time. Lucy is not shown, Lucy is not hidden. She is simply the region, the pattern continues changing, and the final statement becomes this is not the end. This is the just understanding changing its form again. After the reset, something even more unusual happens. The idea of preparation itself starts to break. The story no longer feels like a loop or cycle. Instead, it feels like multiple realities existing at the same time. Dr. Norman research is now viewed through a new concept called perial understanding theory. In this theory, Lucy is not a single line of evolution, but many possible versions of understanding happening together. In some interpretation, Lucy becomes a scientist. In others, she becomes pure energy. In some, she never exists at all, but still changes how people think. This creates a paradox that scientists cannot fully solve. Alex's identity also becomes fragmented in historical records. Some versions show him as a teacher, some as a philosopher, and some as a symbolic figure representing human emotion. But in all versions, he is connected to Lucy in some way. At this stage, Lucy is described as a multiple possibility intelligence, a presence that exists in every possible outcome where understanding grows beyond limits. Research notice something strange whenever then they try to collapse all versions of Lucy into one explanation. New version immediately appears. It is as if reality itself refuses to finalize her meaning. Dr. Norman final theoretical statement becomes Lucy is not truth, she is the space where all trust began to expand. Alex's final philosophical interpretation becomes emotion is the path, understanding is the journey. Lucy is what happens when both never stop. In the final concept vision, the universe is shown not as a single structure, but as overlapping layers of realities, each one slightly different, each one evolving. Lucy is not in any one layer, sees the region layers exist, and the final idea becomes completely open as long as there is a possibility of understanding. Lucy continues in another form. After the concept of multiple realities expands, something even more abstract begins to form. The idea that human possibilities are not fixed. Everything starts becoming fluid, not just events but meanings, identities, and even logic itself. Dr. Norman research is now placed inside a new philosophical framework called fluid reality theory. In this theory, Lucy is no longer a being, a concept, or even a possibility. She is described as a moment of meaning itself. Alex's existence in record becomes even less stable. In some achieve he is a real person, in others she is a symbolic voice. In some interpretation he is not a person at all, but a reflection of human emotional understanding reacting to Lucy. At this stage, Lucy cannot be defined in any fixed way. Every attempt to describe her creates a new version of understanding. Scientists realize that Lucy is not something that exists, she is something that happens when intelligence tries to fully understanding itself. So this was my review on Lucy True. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe for more movie explanation. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Take care.